Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, Text number 3. This chapter is entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Dritavrata asi bhadram te Dritavrata asi bhadram te damena niyamena cha damena niyamena cha tapaha dravina danaihi cha tapadramina dhanai cha tapodramina dhanaischa Shraddhaya cha Ishwaram bhaja Shraddhaya cheshwaram bhaja Dritavratasi bhadram te Damena niyamena cha Tapodravina dhanaischa Shraddhaya cheshwaram bhaja Dritavratasi bhadram te Damena niyamena cha Tapodramina dhanaischa Shraddhaya cheshwaram bhaja. Dritavrata asi, you have undertaken sacred vows. Bhadram te, may God bless you. Damena, by control of the senses. Niyamena, by religious observances. Cha, and tapaha, austerities. Dravina, of money. Danaihi, by giving in charity. Cha, and Shraddhaya, with faith, with great faith. Cha, and Ishwaram, the Supreme Lord. Bhaja, worship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You have undertaken sacred vows, God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Can I repeat the translation? You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Purport. In order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance, and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Kardama Muni advised his wife, you have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance, following the religious principles and giving charity. Then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you and he will come as your son. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport and translation to Canto 3, Chapter 24, text number 3 of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Drita Vratasi Bhadram Te. This verse is spoken by Kardama Muni, one of the Prajapatis. Prajapati means one who is responsible for increasing the population in this universe. So, Prajapati Kardama speaking to his wife, Devahuti, said to his dear wife, Drita Vratasi Bhadram Te. Drita Vratasi. That means he is saying, my dear Devahuti, you have undergone sacred vows. So, Bhadram Te, and therefore God will certainly bless you. Bhadram Te. Damena niyamena cha bhaja Ishwaram. Bhaja Ishwaram. You should worship the Supreme Lord in this following manner. How? How do you worship the Supreme Lord? Damena, by controlling your senses. Niyamena, by accepting religious observances. Cha, and along with that, tapaha, you should accept austerity. And dravena, dravina danaischa, and you should also give money in charity. In this way, Shraddhaya, with great faith, cha Ishwaram bhaja, you should worship the Supreme Lord. So, the context to this verse is, in the previous chapter it was discussed how Kardama Muni, by his yogic power, Yoga Shakti, could create mansions and took Devahuti for a space tour, aerial tour. By his yogic power, he created an aeroplane, and that aeroplane was as big as a city. probably bigger than Chennai. I'm not exaggerating. Last chapter it was discussed. It's a huge city, aeroplane as big as a city. And in that aeroplane, Kardama Muni could go at his will, taking his wife to all desirable places in this universe and spend good time with her. Because she was a very chaste wife, although she was the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, the universal administrator. We have Indian administrators, we have the Prime Minister, the President, we have the American administrators, the President of the country. Let the universal administrators who are ruling the whole universe. So Swayambhuva Manu, also another Prajapati, was a universal administrator, ruling the whole universe. So Devahuti was the daughter of such a great royal emperor of the universe. Yet, when she married Kardama Muni, she gave up all her royal status and comfort and luxury and lived in a simple cottage along with her husband. Because the husband was always absorbed in meditation on the Lord, in austerities, in a forest. And the wife accepted that kind of life along with the husband, voluntarily and happily. She didn't have any grudge. Oh, I am the daughter of a great emperor. Why should I bother to live in a small hut? So let me go back to my palace in the heavenly kingdom. No. She accepted the austerity. And she was used to eating royal food, royal clothing, royal services. We have Dwarka Palace here, Dwarka Puri, and Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama has come here. Jai Krishna Balaram Gonitai Prabhupada. So Dwarka means manifestation of opulence, Lord's opulence. So like that, Kardama Muni was quite opulent. Swayambhuva Manu was quite opulent. But Devahuti voluntarily accepted a humble status and living. No royal food, no royal clothing, royal arrangements. She was mentally prepared because she was, then how did she accept Kardama Muni as her husband? Because she was very much impressed upon his spiritual qualities and spiritual advancement. So she accepted and she came to Kardama's cottage. She accepted all the austerities. And Kardama Muni himself being very pleased with this austerity of Devahuti, after all his meditation for many years, finally when he met Devahuti, he asked, what do you want? I am very satisfied by your austerities and your cooperation. Then she said that I want children. I want to have a comfortable life. So Kardama Muni immediately by his mystic power created an aerial mansion and traveled across the universe, length and breadth of the universe. And then finally after all that, he blessed Devahuti with 9 daughters. That was described in the previous chapter. And all of these daughters, they were very pious and very good looking. These are symptoms of pious union between the husband and the wife. When the children who are born are very beautiful, very intelligent, very pious and very God conscious, that means the union of the husband and wife had been sacred. It was sanctified. Because their union was sanctified, the offspring which they gave birth to also is automatically sanctified. And the result or the obvious symptom of a sanctified union is pious children, intelligent children, beautiful children, who will automatically become God conscious without any separate endeavor and difficulty. Then it is described after giving birth to these 9 daughters, Kardama Muni was leaving home. It was discussed in the last chapter. She smiled externally, but she was very disturbed at heart or in the mind that the husband is leaving and going away. So she said to Kardama Muni that you have fulfilled all your promises. But unfortunately, I have not taken advantage of your spiritual advancement, your spiritual enlightenment. I only considered you as my husband and I had a happy time with you, but I actually didn't take the right advantage of your presence. So she said that unfortunately I have been carried away by material sense gratification, and as far as your daughters are concerned, they'll get married, they will go away. Who will give me solace after you depart as a sannyasi? So much time I have wasted in sense gratification without cultivating knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So she has realized it. This is the path of bondage. The path of sense gratification, the path of bondage. So who is going to enlighten me and deliver me from this material bondage? Then Kardama Muni says to her, so this is the context. So then Kardama Muni says, don't worry, you worship the Supreme Lord in this following manner as described in this verse, and very soon the Supreme Lord will become your son and enlighten you and deliver you from material bondage. And that was Lord Kapila, which we will see eventually. So coming back to this verse, so Kardama Muni is saying, you undertake religious observances and worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. God will certainly be pleased with you and shower His mercy. So Prabhupada says, the way to achieve the mercy of the Lord is described here. One must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must restrain himself from sense gratification, follow the rules and regulations. Without austerity and penance, and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So this is the way to achieve the mercy of the Lord, as described in this verse. Prabhupada also says, if one has to spiritually advance or achieve the mercy of the Lord, these things has to be followed. Basically, one should show eagerness in attaining the Lord. One should show interest in the Supreme Lord. How do we show our interest? How do we show our eagerness? In this way. Just like if even normally, if you want to attain a certain goal, you want to become a CEO, to become a rich man, you want to, get a big degree or attain a certain goal, then you will put all your hard efforts, all your heart and soul into that activity. And whatever required to attain that goal, you will take that due process, isn't it? Similarly, to attain the Lord, Just saying that I want to attain the Lord, I am very eager to see the Lord is not enough. One should take concrete steps to mean what we are saying. And the concrete steps are defined here. Well defined steps. They are not arbitrary. There's a definite process to attain the Lord, to see the Lord, to attain the Lord, to gain the mercy of the Lord. There's a concrete step or concrete steps. That's described here by Kardama Muni. So you cannot attain the Lord by any whimsical, arbitrary processes. Very important. That is why in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna also says, the 16th chapter, that if you follow the standard process as prescribed in the Vedic literatures, then you will attain perfection, you will attain freedom from bondage, and you will attain the Lord. But otherwise, it is not possible. If one is whimsical in his action, then he cannot attain the Lord. It is not that one can do anything and everything and still attain the Lord. No. So one has to follow the standard process. And here it is explained, worship the Lord with great faith. So the first factor is faith. The first factor is faith. In the Bhagavad-gita also Krishna says in the 9th chapter, Ashtadadhana Purusha Dharmasya Asya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. It's a very famous verse. Krishna says that if one does not apply his faith in me, then he will not attain me. He will return back to this world of birth and death. World of death. Birth and death. Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. You will come back to this world of birth and death. You will not attain me, Krishna says. So Shraddha is very important. Shraddha is the first step in approaching the Lord. The first step. And we should develop transcendental faith on the Supreme Lord. What is transcendental faith? Transcendental faith means faith which is cultivated, which is developed based on the knowledge received from the Shastras and spiritual authorities. That is called transcendental faith. And the transcendental faith is called absolute faith. It's called absolute faith. And it never fails. Because the scriptures are absolute words of God, and therefore there is no cheating process. There is no misleading process as entailed in the Vedic literatures. They are 100% truth. As Krishna uses the word in the Bhagavad-gita, Satyam te pratijane priyosime, to Arjuna. Krishna says, this is my promise. It is my word. Whatever I have described is my promise and it is my word. If you become my devotee, you will come back to me. It's my promise, it's my word. So, and Krishna said, Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Krishna also has delineated a process. As Kardama Muni is delineating a process, Lord Krishna also has delineated a process to attain him. Kardama Muni also is explaining a process to attain the Lord. But the interesting difference is, they're a little complex. That's very simple, what Krishna has said. Here, you have to do sense control, you have to observe a lot of religious practices, a lot of austerities, and so on and so forth. But in the Bhagavad-gita, what Krishna explains is very simple. Simply Krishna is saying, become my devotee, man mana. Remember me, man mana. Bhava mad bhaktaha, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, just offer your namaskara, obeisances unto me, that's all. And Krishna is saying, this much you do. Satyam te pratijane priyosime, mam evaishyasi. You will come back to me without fail, and it is my promise. Just imagine. So like that. So that's a very easy method, alternative. This is another method. This is another method. The normal procedure is what is explained by Kardama Muni. That's what we see in India. We may wonder why people don't take up Krishna kindness. Sometimes even we are disturbed. We don't want to get disturbed. This is a normal route. General quota. Go to railway station, you only get general quota. You don't get VIP quota, right? Then you require an MLA to recommend or a minister to recommend to get VIP quota. You go and say, give me VIP ticket, he'll not give you. You only have to go to the general quota booking. Is that there? It could be RAC, it could be waiting list also. Nothing can be done. VIP quota or emergency quota, even if it is waiting or even in Tatkal, you will get your berth immediately because it is VIP quota or emergency quota recommended by a VIP. So because Krishna, if you can approach somehow directly the Lord, not the goal as the Lord. Here the goal is attainment of the Lord as per Kardama. But in Bhakti, everything begins from the Lord. Here ends with the Lord. Bhakti, we begin with the Lord. Direct access control. Direct access. But because generally it is not allowed, you have to go through all the normal protocols. This is called protocol. What is explained here is actually a protocol. You have to purify your senses, you have to observe all religious activities, austerities, charities, so on and so forth, and purify our contaminated consciousness, purify from our bodily identification, bodily designations. All these things has to happen. But in Bhakti Yoga, with bodily designation, with bodily identity, still you can directly access the Lord. Can you imagine? What is the proof? Sitting here, we are the proof. We are still in bodily concept. We are not transcendent bodily concept. We have still not fully controlled the senses. Yet we have direct access to the Lord and to the direct process of directly connecting to the Lord because of the grace of the Acharya, like Srila Prabhupada. So this is a very, very great blessing for us. Otherwise, we will be one of the candidates here, as explained, or every other Indian family, typically practicing rituals, vrata, homam, upavasam, mauna vrata, this, that, so many things. Every Monday they will do vrata, every Tuesday. But from Monday to Sunday they have vratas. You ask any lady in India. They have all the temples listed and all the vratas listed, and quite many of them very sincerely follow those religious observances. This puja, that puja, going for pilgrimage, keeping fast, not sleeping, jagrana, so many things. Eating once a day. We do none of those things here in ISKCON. Because we have a direct access to the Lord. That is our fortune. The goal is to approach the Lord, and we are able to approach the Lord directly. It's our great fortune. So what is the idea behind all these things? As I said, is to purify our consciousness. In other words, so long we have not awakened our original Krishna consciousness, to that much degree you have to practice all these things. So far you awaken your Krishna consciousness, you can avoid these things. And if you fully awaken your Krishna consciousness, you can fully avoid all these procedures. Because the goal is to awaken your Krishna consciousness, your relationship, eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. If that is attained, you don't require any of these things. Therefore, there is a famous verse, Naradito yadi harihi tapasa tatah kim, Aradito yadi harihi tapasa tatah kim, Antar bahir yadi harihi tapasa tatah kim, Nantar bahir yadi harihi tapasa tatah kim. Heard this verse? Very famous verse in which we keep quoting. Aradito yadi hari. If you already come to the point of directly worshipping the Supreme Lord Hari or Krishna, Aradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim, then what need is there for you to continue the austerities or to perform austerities and penances? Naradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim. And if you have still not come to the point of Hari, what is the value and use of such austerities and penances? Antar Bahir Yadi Hari Tapasa Tatakim. If you can see Lord Hari, when you close your eyes, you open your eyes. Within your heart, outside your heart. Anywhere and everywhere. Within and without. If you can see Hari everywhere and in every situation and in everything, then why do you require to perform austerities? And if you can't see Hari inside or even outside, even in the temple, people say, where is God in the temple? Then what is the use of all such austerities? After all that austerities, still you are not able to see God, whether inside or outside. So, therefore the conclusion is, ultimately, all these austerities I prescribe, they are actually prescription for purifying our consciousness, our material designations, purifying us from material designations. As it is described in Bhagavatam 6th canto, in the beginning by Shukadeva Goswami, depending upon the patient's condition of disease, the doctor will prescribe a certain medication. If the patient's condition is quite acute, then the prescription also will be severe. But the patient's condition is not so acute, it will be a lighter treatment. Like that, depending upon the condition of the material disease which we have, how much we're in bodily concept, that much tapasya, maunavrata, upavasa, austerity, all these things, dipping in holy rivers, going on pilgrimage in foot, not in train and aeroplane, is prescribed. So, anyway, the regular Vedic procedure is this. Imagine, even great souls and personalities like Kardama Devahuti are also going through these procedures. Highly austere people, highly advanced spiritually, Kardama Muni, still even he is going through all these procedures and he is suggesting his wife. So, to attain the Lord is not an easy thing, because the difficulty in the process actually means the difficulty in the object or the value of the object. It determines the value of the object actually. How much valuable it is. Therefore, that much the difficulty in attaining it. You want to earn 1,000 rupees, it's going to be easy. If you have to earn $1,000 billion, it's going to be difficult. So, depending upon the goal, the process seems to be difficult. Because that much work you are putting in, the result also is going to be great. Going to be great. So the Lord being the most valuable thing to be attained in the human form of life, so naturally has to be difficult, not easy. So this actually makes us realize the difficulty in attaining the Lord, and we should not take it for granted. So that is the conclusion. See, even such great souls have undergone so much austerity. Even today, so many sages supposed to be living. They say Sapta Chiranjeevi, 7 Chiranjeevis. Chiranjeevi doesn't mean they are deathless. At least in the end of this kalpa, they will, end of this yuga or probably kalpa, they may remain. After that, they have to leave this world. Anyway, so relatively they are considered Chiranjeevis. So from yugas and yugas, they are doing tapasya. Even today, there are many sages following this procedure and yet to attain the Lord and the mercy of the Lord. Just imagine. So that is the value of attaining Krishna's mercy. This is what we should appreciate. And as far as the Bhakti movement or the Krishna consciousness movement is concerned, or the alternate route called the Bhakti route is concerned, we are directly able to get the mercy of the Lord. We are going through these protocols. So we are greatly blessed. So we should only not lose this opportunity and respect and worship the opportunity which we are blessed with. Worship the fortune we have received from Prabhupada. We are worshipping the Lord through faith, sensory control, religious observances. We have to worship our fortune. By worshipping the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada and sticking on to the simple and sublime and joyful process of Bhakti Yoga. Simply chanting, dancing and taking prasadam. Our sensory control is taking prasadam. And sticking on to only discussing Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita. And sticking on to live in the association of devotees. The sensory control. To live amidst devotees in the temple and to lead a full-time life is our sensory control. Suddenly the Maya will bewilder us and we may get other thoughts. But to stick on to this temple life, service of the Lord in the temple itself is a sensory control for us. Our religious observances are our deity worship. Our religious observances are our morning sadhana which Prabhupada has given us. And our daily seva to the Lord after the morning sadhana is our religious observances. After 9 in the morning till night 9 or 10 is also part of the religious observances which we are having as prescribed by our spiritual master. Devotee's guru is Kardama Muni. He is her spiritual master. We have our spiritual master who has prescribed these methods for us. And our austerities are our sadhana and our sticking on to only prasadam is also an austerity, not to bhoga. Sticking on to prasadam is an austerity. Sankirtana is simply joyful, but sticking on to Sankirtana also is an austerity. Sticking on to the Gaudiya Vaishnava way of dancing, the way Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada taught, instead of crazy dances, is also an austerity. To live with devotees and to serve the Vaishnavas is also an austerity. To serve the deity in the temple is also an austerity. So we have our kind of austerities also. And to give gifts of money in charity. How do we practice this as devotees? When money is given as donation to God, not to you, give it to God. Now that they gave me, Prabhu, so I kept it, Prabhu, for myself. They gave my dakshina, Prabhu. They gave dhoti to me, Prabhu. They gave mobile to me, Prabhu. They gave some dakshina. They gave some fruits. So what is received by you, you have to give it in charity to the Lord. Okay. So, in this way, we have a very simple method to attain the Lord and the mercy of the Lord. Actually, as far as we are concerned, there is nothing like attaining the mercy. We have already attained the mercy of the Lord. We only have to continue that mercy program by enacting these activities in bhakti. That's all. And continue to keep that mercy of the Lord protected in us. In our case, it's a little different. We are not yet to, it's not like we are going to receive the mercy of the Lord by doing bhakti. Bhakti itself is the mercy of the Lord. Engaging in devotional service is already the mercy of the Lord. You attain the mercy of the Lord. We only, in our case, we only have to preserve that mercy by continuing our devotional service to Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. 3 categories, our seva. To Lord Hari, to our spiritual master and to Vaishnava. In this way, we are preserving that mercy. Mercy has already come. She is yet to receive. Our case, doing seva itself is mercy. Taking prasadam itself is mercy. Living in temple itself is mercy. Already we have received mercy. Already we have received. We only have to preserve it. The enemies should not come and steal away, called Maya. That's all. This is our austerity, not to allow the enemy of Maya to steal away this mercy from us. Steal away the opportunity for taking prasadam, living with devotees, doing daily sankirtan, anxiety-free life. Vaikuntha life is anxiety-free life. Actually, we are already in that. So this is a great contribution of Srila Prabhupada actually to the world. Everybody can have this blessing if they are willing to accept this program of Krishna consciousness as taught by Srila Prabhupada. I'll stop here. If there's any question? Yeah.
You said we should see the Lord. So he said that we should
Keep the mic little near.
On the eyes of the Shastras to see everything. So sometimes we may not be faith, transcendental faith. You were talking about transcendental faith, and that faith should be based on this Shastras.
Yes.
So even though at present moment we may not know the transcendental qualities of the Lord and the transcendental doings of the Lord, so sometimes we may have improper understanding what the Shastras are telling due to past all collective chit in chit. So how we can do it without artificially doing or like in wrong way doing, and at the same time it will to.
So how to, if I want to rephrase your question, or if I've understood your question, how do we know that my faith is transcendental, or I'm having the right transcendental faith?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sir. That is why there is sadhu sangha. To know whether my understanding itself is right or wrong, we require to clarify. Of course, the Lord in the heart is there, the Guru in the heart is there. We always say Lord in the heart, right? Also, there is also Guru in the heart. Lord also speaks, Guru also speaks. So we get that direction from them. But if we can't hear the direction, see the direction, then there is sadhu sangha also. Guru, sadhu, shastra. There are two more possibilities to cross-check. Guru is there in the heart. Guru is either Prabhupada, the current spiritual master, or the Adi Guru Krishna. So both are guiding us in the heart. If you are unable to take that guidance, which is online 24/7, never goes offline, there's no internet cut there, always available, but for some reason we are not able to access because of our limitation, contamination in accessing that direction, then there are two more routes which the Lord has mercifully opened up, all time available, Shastra and Sadhu. So we have to clarify even our understanding of Prabhupada's teachings. Sometimes this question comes, have I understood even Prabhupada's teaching in the right way? Or it is my understanding of Prabhupada's teaching? Just like, is it my understanding of Krishna's words? Or is it what Krishna actually said? That we say, see the illusion and the strange thing in Kali Yuga is the Bhagavad-gita as it is. As it is itself we interpret. That is our greatness. So because of interpretation, there is as it is version given by Prabhupada. As it is version also is interpreted. And this is the as it is version. Imagine the level of bewilderment and deviation. What can be done? Very sad. So, therefore, there is sadhu and shastra. So, we have the shastra and we also have the sadhu. Sadhu means a sincere follower of the acharya is defined as a sadhu. A sincere follower of the acharya or the shastra. What do you mean by sincere follower? He will not mislead. He will not misinterpret. He will not cheat. He will not lie. The basic traits of a sadhu. Like Prabhupada always said, even Krishna is not a liar. When Krishna said, Sarvadam Parityaja, and I will deliver you from all Papa Karma, Krishna is not a liar. When Krishna said, what is that? I will protect my devotees. What is that line? Name bhakta pranashyati. Krishna has given a word. Pratijanihi kaunteya. Declare it to the world, O Arjuna, that I will protect my devotees. I will never let them down. Yogakshema mahamyam. I will preserve what they have. I will protect what I will preserve and protect what they have. I will supply what they lack. So many statements Krishna has made. I will. So that is Krishna's word, Krishna's promise. So like that. The Acharya also does not cheat, does not mislead. Okay. So we take shelter of Shastra and Sadhu. So Sadhu means a sincere follower of the Acharya and the Shastra and the Lord. So we have to follow them. Where do you find such Sadhu? The next question will come. The Lord in the heart is there, He will direct you. If you are sincere, even if you are in the wrong place, the Lord will redirect you once again. And you will realize that I am in the right hands. Like Prabhupada said when he met Bhakti Siddhanta, said, Lord Chaitanya's teaching and mission is in the right hands. Till then, Prabhupada never felt that also. Similarly, when we all came to Prabhupada, we felt that feeling. Exactly the way Prabhupada said, even we also felt like that. We are safe now. Did you feel or not? You have felt. So, Krishna will give that realization. Yes, I am the right shelter, right hands. And based on your sincerity, the transcendental teachings will be revealed to you, and we will be able to appreciate that I am the right path, I have the right guidance, right teaching. And you can corroborate, you can correlate, you can cross-check. What the sadhu is saying, whether is it cross-reference in Shastra, you can check. And what is there in Shastra? If the sadhu says the same thing, oh, my understanding is correct. Suppose I also have the same understanding. It's like syncing. I have an understanding, the sadhu has an understanding, the Lord is present in something, the scripture is present in something, all are in sync. You are in the right track. Got the point? So, see whether it is syncing or not. You have a certain understanding. But if it is not matching with your authority's explanation, a right authority, spiritual authority in good standing, then I think something is not okay. But again, if you want to cross-check your authority, go back to the Shastra. Oh, Prabhu said that in the class. Where is Prabhupada said? Is it there in any purport? You can cross-check. There is no sentiment here. It is a scientific process. Then in that way you can develop your transcendental faith. So do this constant checking. You have to always keep checking. You cannot be blind in spiritual life. That does not mean constantly checking. Whatever Prabhu says means being doubtful. He is called a doubtful soul. That is the slip side of this. Okay. Now I heard Prabhu tell in the lecture. I am not saying me. I am generally saying. Okay. Class is over. Let me check up all the reference what Prabhu said. Maybe he has told something wrong. Maybe this checking mode of sitting and hearing is not Bhagavatam class. That is CID. Job is going on. So that is not the mood. Okay. That is not the mood. But some specific instances, references, in case there is an element of doubt, you can always cross-check. It can also be derived from what Prabhupada says. And it can be like called derivation we say in mathematics. This is a derivation also from Prabhupada's classes, but ultimately phalena parichayate. You test by the result number 1, and whether it fits in the whole of Prabhupada teaching also has to be seen. Specific context and wholesome teaching of Prabhupada, whether it matches also has to be seen. Otherwise we reject it. Okay. Another question, one more, otherwise I'll close. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We are getting this human birth, no? Sometime I am doing the progression. Sometimes some deviation come. Without the deviation, I want to fix myself fully. But sometimes the deviation, I feel that deviation wastes my time.
Deviation is?
Deviation means sometimes I'm getting angry with others. That is a waste of time I'm feeling. Without the deviation, how can I make this progression? Pakka 100% I want to make it, no, how it possible?
Yeah, how to fix your practices firmly, you are saying, in other words. How to be firm in my practice or in my faith. Yeah. So that is what the process of Bhakti Yoga is. It's called Nishtha. It's called the stage of Nishtha. It's already defined by Rupa Goswami. So it begins with we wavering in our practices, but as you continue to practice, and the secret here is, how do you come to the stage of Nishtha? What is the symptom of the stage of Nishtha? When you are studying your practice, that is a symptom of the Nishtha stage. How do you come to that? By practicing the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga. But what is it? What is the criteria for becoming Nishtha, or fixed up, firm? Actually, it is purification of your senses. Therefore, there's no question of time there. It's all individual. How much you are purified, how much you want to purify is totally in your, it is totally in one's, it's in individual's hands. If you are purified today, you fixed up today only. So the purification process is in our own hands. How much I want to purify by applying myself to the Bhakti Yoga process wholeheartedly. That is the point here. Then you may say, Prabhu, I am applying myself to Bhakti Yoga process. I am chanting, I am reading, I am doing devotional service, all these things I am doing. Purification is not happening. It is happening, not that it is not happening, but to the required degree, wherein you can see prominent changes. For that, your application also must be strong. And if it is done in a wholehearted way, the result of Krishna consciousness is instant. So it's fully in our hand to become firm in devotional service, because we have so many other attachments and so many other, misgivings. So we have to overcome that. So by sadhu sangha, it will happen. It may not happen overnight as far as we are concerned. It can happen ideally speaking. But because we have our attachments and all our, understandings, and we are sticking on to those things, not able to give up, all in the mind. Mind is not allowing. So to pacify the mind, to loosen the mind's tightness in material attachments, it takes time. When the mind's material attachments are loosened and completely opened up, then your flow of bhakti becomes natural. So it takes time. It is preparation in your mind actually. So that's why hearing Bhagavatam, it makes your mind spiritually strong, not materially. We are talking makes your mind spiritually strong. Because mind is a place of determination. And intelligence helps. Intelligence is the Shastra. Intelligence means here, you derive intelligence from Shastra, direction from Shastra, and firm it through the mind. Tighten it, the nut and bolt through the mind. So the instruments used is actually the bhakti process. So slowly doing, chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We chant that every day morning. If you hear Bhagavatam daily, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Your bhakti becomes fixed up. And elsewhere Prabhupada says that's an irrevocable fact. That means irrevocable clause. That's an irrevocable clause. That means once you become fixed up, there's no turning back. You become fixed up in bhakti, you're not going to Maya once again. 100%. So it will take time. So we have to read Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, apply ourselves to the processes. It will become firmed up day by day, your faith becomes strong. As your faith becomes established, you become firm. In other words, to increase the firmness, to increase your faith. And the faith is increased proportionate to your right sadhu sangha, association with Prabhupada and spiritual practices. Right mood and intent we should apply ourselves to these spiritual processes. Then it will work. The way we approach the spiritual process of chanting, prasadam, sadhu sangha, deity worship also matters. How we are approaching it also matters. To get the, it is actually quality connection. So by sadhu sangha we can learn it better and better. Then you'll become firm. So be patient. Rupa Goswami gives the principle of patience also. Allow time. As your mental contamination, mental attachments come down, your bhakti becomes firm down. So thank you. Prabhupada ki jai.